Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India lodges protest with China over its announcement to establish 2 new counties in its Hotan prefecture, with parts of their jurisdiction falling in India's Ladakh. India and the Maldives finalise a framework to promote the use of local currencies for cross-border trade. And South Korean investigators abandoned the arrest of impeached President Yoon after dramatic standoff with his security team. In a media briefing on Friday, India's Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randeep Jaiswal responded to China's announcement of 2 new counties in Hotan prefecture, which fall within India's union territory of Ladakh. India has lodged a solemn protest with China through diplomatic channels on the matter.
We have seen the announcement pertaining to the establishment of 2 new counties in Hotan prefecture of China. Parts of jurisdiction of these so-called counties fall in India's union territory of Ladakh. We have never accepted the illegal Chinese occupation of Indian territory in this area. Creation of new counties will neither have a bearing on India's long-standing and consistent position regarding our sovereignty over the area, nor lend legitimacy to China's illegal and forcible occupation of the same. We have lodged a solemn protest with the Chinese side through diplomatic channels on this matter.
The MEA spokesperson also said that India has raised its concerns over a hydropower project on the Yarlung-Tsangpo River in Tibet Autonomous Region of China. India has emphasized the need for transparency and consultation with downstream countries.
We have seen the information released by Xinhua on 25th December 2024 regarding a hydropower project on the Yarlung-Tsangpo River in the Tibet Autonomous Region of China. As a lower riparian state with established user rights to the waters of the river, we have consistently expressed through expert level as well as diplomatic channels our views and concerns to the Chinese side over mega projects on rivers in their territory. These have been reiterated along with the need for transparency and consultation with downstream countries following the latest report. The Chinese side has been urged to ensure that the interests of downstream states of the Brahmaputra are not harmed by activities in upstream areas. We will continue to monitor and take necessary measures to protect our interests.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met his Maldivian counterpart Abdullah Khalil in New Delhi today. They took stock of the progress made on the understandings reached during the state visit of President Dr. Muizzu to India in October 2024 and followed up on issues that need further focus from both sides. Both the leaders signed Memorandum of Understanding for implementation of high-impact community development projects under Phase 3 in Maldives through grant assistance by the Government of India.
Today's visit, Excellency, allows us to take stock of the progress since then. I think we have some important developments to report, positive developments to report. And certainly there is much more that we need to do. I see that the framework to promote the use of local currencies for cross-border transactions has been signed. We have increased our engagements in various sectors. And I do want to say that India has always stood by Maldives. For us, you are a very concrete expression of our neighborhood first policy.
It is an important year for the Maldives-India relations. we are celebrating 60 years of establishment of formal diplomatic relations. As a beneficiary of India's neighborhood first policy, the government of Maldives deeply values the significant importance India places in its relationship with the Maldives. Honorable Minister, President Dr. Muiz looks forward to working closely with the government of India to strengthen the partnership even further.
On to South Korea now. A tense standoff was seen in Seoul as authorities attempted to arrest impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol over his failed martial law declaration. The dramatic events unfolded at his official residence, raising questions about democracy and accountability in the country.
South Korean investigators have called off their attempt to arrest impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol after a 6-hour standoff at his residence. The confrontation involving Yoon's Presidential Security Service and military personnel ended with authorities citing safety concerns for their withdrawal. The scene outside Yoon's residence was chaotic. About 2,700 police officers and 135 buses formed barricades as hundreds of Yoon's supporters, including far-right activists and evangelical preachers, gathered in protest, chanting slogans like "Illegal warrant is invalid." Inside, investigators faced off with security forces protecting Yoon. Negotiations failed, and the Corruption Investigation Office eventually declared the arrest effectively impossible due to the risk of escalation.
I question whether the issuance of such an illegal warrant aligns with the principles of the rule of law. It is our position that this unlawful arrest warrant request is illegal and invalid. The declaration of martial law is a power granted to the President under the Constitution. The President exercised this authority legitimately as part of their duty to protect the constitutional order of the nation.
Meanwhile, South Korea's Constitutional Court announced it will hold its first arguments in Yoon's impeachment trial on January 14. The President is required to appear in court for the session. A second hearing is scheduled for January 16 in case of non-compliance. Yoon's arrest warrant, valid until Monday, now hangs in limbo. His legal team has also challenged the warrant in the Constitutional Court. While Yoon supporters rallied for his survival, anti-Yoon demonstrators clashed nearby, accusing him of dragging the nation into political chaos. Yoon, suspended from duty following his impeachment by lawmakers, faced his controversial December 3 martial law declaration. If convicted, he could face imprisonment or even the death penalty. Despite ignoring 3 summons for questioning, Yoon remains defiant, vowing to fight authorities. Nancy Baloda's report for DD India.
And the South Korean plane crash probe intensifies as investigators on Friday began lifting the wreckage of the Jeju airplane that crashed 5 days ago, killing 179 people. Police conducted a series of raids on Thursday and Friday at the offices of Jeju Air and the Muan airport operator as they stepped up their probe. South Korea has also announced the inspection of all Boeing 737-800 aircraft operated by its carriers, focusing on the landing gear, which appears to have malfunctioned during the Sunday crash. However, the exact cause of the flight's crash is still unknown. Authorities are also analyzing the flight data recorder, with US experts examining wreckage and reviewing 107 recovered mobile phones for clues. Staying with South Korea, a multi-storied building was engulfed in fire and thick smoke seen in the city of Seongyam on Friday. The fire department said that 12 people had been sent to hospital for smoke inhalation. It further added that about 30 people trapped in the building have been safely rescued. A total of 82 firefighting vehicles were deployed to bring the blaze under control. After the fire started in a restaurant on the ground floor of the building, which also housed a swimming pool where children took classes. On to Europe now. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock is in Syria for a day visit alongside her French counterpart Jean-Noël Barrot, representing the European Union. The European Union leaders will meet with Ahmed al-Shara, leader of Syria's new rulers. This is the first visit by top EU diplomats since rebels took control of Damascus on December 8th, ending Bashar al-Assad's 13-year rule. Led by Shara's Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the new rulers are working to reassure the international community that they will govern for all Syrians and not promote an Islamist revolution. In the latest from the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukrainian forces struck deep into Russia's Kursk region, targeting a command post in Mariono with precision missiles. The attack comes 5 months after Ukrainian troops crossed the border and have been holding on to pockets of Russian territory despite counter-attacks. Russia's military claimed to have intercepted 4 missiles, but the attack still managed to cause widespread damage. Russia also said that drones targeted nearby regions, but no casualties were reported. Meanwhile, Ukrainian air defenses claim to have downed 60 out of the 93 drones launched by Russia in an overnight attack. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed hope on Thursday that US President-elect Donald Trump could play a pivotal role in ending the Russia-Ukraine conflict. In a televised interview, Zelensky revealed Trump's promise to prioritize Ukraine after his inauguration, praising his decisiveness to counter Vladimir Putin's actions. Zelensky emphasized that Ukraine's independence and security depend on strong US involvement, including their NATO aspirations.
Трамп може бути вирішальним. І я думаю, для нас це
Trump can be decisive. For us, this is the most important thing. His qualities are indeed there. He can be decisive in this war. He's capable of stopping Putin, or to put it more fairly, help us stop Putin. He's able to do this. Naturally, any security guarantees without the United States are weak security guarantees for Ukraine.
будь-які гарантії безпеки.
The European Union confirmed on Thursday that gas supplies across Europe remain stable except in Moldova. Deliveries of Russian gas to Europe via Ukraine pipeline stopped on Wednesday after Kiev refused to renew a decades-long arrangement that earned billions of dollars for both countries. While Russian gas now accounts for less than 10% of EU's imports, down from over 40% before Russia-Ukraine conflict, some eastern member states remain reliant on it. Slovakia faces escalating tensions with Kiev after Ukrainian authorities halted Russian gas transits to Slovakia, a move Prime Minister Robert Fico condemned as sabotage. Fico warned of retaliation, including cutting electricity exports to Ukraine and reducing support for Ukrainian refugees. Slovakia's state gas importer estimates an additional 90 million euros in transit fees this year.
After the delegation returns from Brussels, I will convene the Coalition Council. On behalf of the Slovak social democracy, I announce that we are ready to negotiate and agree in a coalition to stop electricity supplies and significantly reduce subsidies for citizens of Ukraine. The only alternative for a sovereign Slovakia is the restoration of transit or the demand for compensation mechanisms that will replace the shortfalls in public finances after the amount of almost 500 million euros.
On to the United States of America. Visitors are back on the Bourbon Street, the tourist artery of New Orleans, where the deadly New Year's attack took place. The suspect has been identified and is believed to have acted alone. More in this report.
The tourist artery of New Orleans, the Bourbon Street, glimmered back to life less than 36 hours after the deadly New Year's Eve assault. Tourists and youth came out in throngs after the street was declared open by the police.
In New Orleans, this is what we do. We celebrate life during, before, and after, unfortunately. It's very unfortunate what happened, but this is what we do in the city of New Orleans.
Today feels like a completely normal day back on Bourbon Street. Obviously think about all the victims and the families, but I feel safe. I think it's probably the safest and cleanest Bourbon Street will ever be that I will see. And just still praying for the victims, and I feel safe, and the police presence is huge.
I mean, like I said, I've lived here 62 years, and we've always, we can't let nothing hold us down. Like, I've been here through Katrina and all, so we could get right back up and running.
A U.S. Army veteran with an ISIS flag on his truck swerved around makeshift barriers and plowed into New Orleans' crowded French Quarter on New Year's, killing at least 14 people. The suspect was shot dead at the scene after firing at police. He has been identified as Shamsuddin Jabbar. The suspect had pledged allegiance to ISIS on his social media account on the morning of the attack. FBI is now seeking more information from the public on him. It released a poster featuring surveillance stills as part of its investigation. The search for more accomplices ended effectively as the FBI said that the suspect had acted alone.
This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act. We do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack except for Shamsuddin Jabbar.
US President Joe Biden warned that ISIS shall find no safe harbor there.
People in New Orleans are sending an unmistakable message. They will not let this attack or the attackers with deluded ideology overcome us. None of us should fear that it will overcome us. We're going to continue to relentlessly pursue ISIS and other terrorist organizations where they are, and they'll find no safe harbor here. I'll continue to provide updates in New Orleans and Las Vegas as the facts develop.
US President-elect Donald Trump has blamed the situation at the southern border of the recent attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas, railing against President Biden for his immigration policies as both cases are being investigated. As New Orleans limps back to normal and people have come out in numbers to the Bourbon Street, the memory of those who perished in the senseless act will remain etched in the memory of the people in New Orleans and elsewhere. Antara Sinha, DD India.
Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India's Prime Minister inaugurates key slum rehabilitation project, among others in New Delhi, says the initiatives reflect his government's commitment to empower Delhi's populace. And Sunday's Golden Globes to launch Hollywood's awards festivities this year.
The delicate balance between human and animal coexistence has become a growing problem. Finding sustainable ways to coexisting together and thriving in a rapidly changing environment.
Tell them not to panic. Instead, they should just stand completely still and let the lions walk past peacefully. This is how we show respect to the animal and in turn gain its trust.
After the plantation of lemon trees, the elephants stopped entering the fields. They pass by the field boundaries without entering.
Poaching gangs and trafficking gangs that go after these elephants and capture them, things like that. And that's something that we are all up against.
We should try to modify the human behavior through education and awareness.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I am Tanvi Taneja. In line with his commitment of housing for all, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday inaugurated 1,675 newly constructed flats for the economically weaker section at Swabhiman Apartments in New Delhi's Ashok Vihar. Also, the Prime Minister handed over keys to eligible beneficiaries. Addressing the event, Prime Minister Modi urged Delhi residents to reach out to those still living in slums and to assure them on his behalf that if not today, then tomorrow, they will surely have a pakka house.
मैं आप सबको भी कहता हूं, आप जब भी लोगों के बीच जाएं, लोगों को मिलें और अभी भी जो लोग झुग्गी झोपड़ी में रहते हैं, मेरी तरफ से उनको वादा करके आना, मेरे लिए तो आप ही मोदी है, वादा करके आना, आज नहीं तो कल उनके लिए पक्का घर बनेगा, उनको पक्का घर मिलेगा.
Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inspected the newly constructed flats for the slum dwellers. Among other key development projects inaugurated include the World Trade Center at Nauroji Nagar and the General Pool Residential Accommodation Type 2 quarters at Sarojini Nagar. The Indian Prime Minister also inaugurated Central Board of Secondary Education's Integrated Office Complex at Dwarka, New Delhi. This includes offices, auditorium, advanced data center, comprehensive water management system, among others. And Prime Minister Modi also laid the foundation stone of 3 new projects in Delhi University. These include building Veer Savarkar College at Roshanpura, Najafgarh, having state-of-the-art facilities for education. India's Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav flagged off 3 new trains from Guwahati railway station on Friday. The trains include the Guwahati New Lakhimpur Jan Shatabdi Express, the new Bongaigaon-Guwahati passenger train and the Tinsukia-Naharlagun Express. During his visit, the minister stated that the government's goal is to connect every state, double the railway capacity, build new bridges and establish more stations. The minister also highlighted that the budget for railway development has significantly increased under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership.
हर एक स्टेट को कनेक्ट करना है, डबलिंग करनी है, नए ब्रिजेस बनाने हैं, नए स्टेशन बनाने हैं। मोदी जी ने आके उसको डबल किया, 3 गुना किया, 4 गुना किया और साथियों 2024-25 के बजट में 10,000 करोड़ रुपए नॉर्थ ईस्ट के रेलवे के डेवलपमेंट के लिए।
The 82nd edition of Golden Globes is scheduled to take place on Sunday, kicking off the 2025 awards festivities. Films such as Wicked, The Brutalist and Emilia Perez will be competing for trophies and attention ahead of the Oscars. DD India's Diptanshu Kashyap reports.
The 2025 award season begins on Sunday with the 82nd Annual Golden Globe Awards, honouring the best in film and television. The Netflix film Emilia Perez leads the race with 10 nominations, followed by The Brutalist with 7. The Bear leads television series with 5 nods, followed by Shogun and Only Murders in the Building with 4 each. The nominations were announced on December 9th by actors Morris Chestnut and Mindy Kaling. This year's ceremony will be hosted for the first time by comedian Nikki Glaser.
I'm feeling really good about the job that I have to do, the material I've written, that my team has written. I feel like we're just in good shape. I'm really excited just to show these jokes to a massive audience. It's really I've been working on this art project that I'm I can't wait to show people.
Some of the nominated films include A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Anora, Challengers, and The Substance. Timothy Chalamet, Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande, Angelina Jolie are among the stars vying for acting honours. The ceremony is especially significant for India as Payal Kapadia's All We Imagine as Light has received 2 nominations, including Best Director for Kapadia, marking the first nomination for an Indian production.
On our show, the nominees from television, from movies, come together. They're major stars, and it's like throwing a party at your home. Who would you like to have at your house if you could have anybody? And we've got them every year.
Winners of the Globes are chosen by 334 entertainment journalists from 85 countries. Winning a Globe can boost a film's chances in the run-up to the Academy Awards in March. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
And time now for some sporting action. First, updates from the world of cricket. Australia bundled out India on a paltry 185 runs on day 1 of the Sydney Test. India's struggle against pace and seam continued as the visitors couldn't go past the 200-figure mark. Jasprit Bumrah led India opted to bat on a green pitch and lost both their openers KL Rahul and Yashasvi Jaiswal inside first 10 overs. And just when Shubman Gill started to find his rhythm, gifted his wicket to Nathan Lyon on the score of 20. Scott Bullant with 4 wickets emerged as the pick of the bowlers on day 1, while Mitchell Starc claimed 3 and Pat Cummins returned with 1 wicket. At stumps, Australia were 9 runs for the loss of 1 wicket. Indian skipper Rohit Sharma opted out of the final test of the Border Gavaskar Trophy in Sydney, raising questions about his future in the red ball format. The 37-year-old opener has endured a dismal series, scoring just 31 runs in 5 innings at an average of just 6.2. Speculation about his future intensified when Rohit skipped India's pre-match press conference.
In a series of events that unfolded in the past few days, Indian regular skipper Rohit Sharma opted to sit out in the final test match of the Border Gavaskar series in Sydney, leaving a huge question mark on his red ball future. The 37-year-old opener has had a poor series, and the writing was on the wall when he failed to show up for India's eve of match press conference. Former Indian cricketers Sunil Gavaskar and Ravi Shastri feel that the Boxing Day test might have been Rohit Sharma's final appearance in Test cricket. Meanwhile, coach Gautam Gambhir on Thursday fronted the media and declined to throw his support behind him.
The thing is, everything is fine with Rohit, and I don't think so it's anything traditional. I think the head coach is there. That should be fine. That should be good enough. And we're going to have a look at the wicket and finalize it tomorrow.
Stand-in captain Jasprit Bumrah insisted at the coin toss on Friday that Rohit had opted to rest for the good of the team rather than being forced out. Rohit quit T20 international cricket last year after lifting the World Cup, but is yet to call time on his ODI career. As of now, Rohit's overall test statistics stand at 4,301 runs from 67 matches with an average of 40.57. A string of low scores in the crucial Border Gavaskar Trophy raised questions about his place in the side. Rohit has managed just 31 runs across 5 innings this series, scoring 3, 6, 10, 3 and 9 at a dismal average of 6.20, the lowest by a touring captain on Australian soil. His recent form comes on the back of a similarly poor return during India's 3-0 home series loss to New Zealand during October-November. Prior to his drop of form, Rohit gave India real firepower at the top of the innings, and his selfless approach allowed the rest of the batters to play freely. Sports Desk, DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.